Well, folks, for those of you that haven't heard, for those of you that have, Mean Gene Okerlund, longtime announcer, backstage interviewer, and wrestling personality in the AWA, WWE, WCW, and known the world over by so many wrestling fans, has passed away at the age of 76. Truly a sad day. A very, very, very sad day. He died at the age of 76. And if you think about the mark that he left on the wrestling business and wrestling fans all over the goddamn world, when you think of backstage interviewers, or you think of wrestling personalities like, that conduct really great interviews with some of the all-time greats, you think of Mean Gene Okerlund. I mean, if you're my age, if you're even a little younger, if you're a little older, it doesn't really matter. From, his time in the AWA. And this isn't going to be capturing all his moments. There's no way I could encapsulate all of Mean Gene's great moments and the memories that he provided in this tribute. This will just be ones where I talk about some of my favorites, and I want you to leave your favorites in the comments. This is just simply done to tribute Mean Gene Okerlund, because he truly was, and it's sad to say that, just, knowing that he passed away. This is not a very good start to 2019. But at least now, there's one thing. He can be reunited with Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon and so many others that Mean Gene worked with, and be reunited at that big old wrestling venue in the sky. Can you imagine how many fans, how many wrestling personalities, how many great interviews, commentary, and all the stuff's going on up there? That's one hell of a party. That is really one hell of a party. But let's talk about Mean Gene's start in wrestling. He started in 1970 in the AWA for Vern Gagne and was there for about 13, 14 years. He was the backstage interviewer. He was the quintessential backstage interviewer. And it's not that others didn't do great stuff also. It's not that there weren't other great wrestling interviewers and stuff like that, and people that did great interviews in every territory. It isn't that. Just Mean Gene was truly one of a kind and truly one of the best. Whether he added so much realism to, whatever interview, if it was a big fight, whether it was adding humor, like when he had an interview with Andre the Giant and he was comparing hand sizes and the size of his ring, and then Andre just, does that on his face. Covering his old damn face, because Andre just truly was a giant. Mean Gene having some of Hulk Hogan's earlier interviews after Hogan had left the WWF. And you could tell that there was some chemistry there. Mean Gene and Bobby Heenan had such great chemistry in their interactions in the AWA, and especially in WWE, and even in WCW. Think about that. That feud/friendship lasted for about close to 30 goddamn years. And then they reunited at the WrestleMania 17 Gimmick Battle Royal and did a commentary for that. And Mean Gene would have more of a run, off and on in WWE after that. But his AWA stuff, he really did add so much to Vern Gagne's territory that was, rooted in great athletes, great matches, but also a sports presentation. And Mean Gene helped add to that so much. He really did. And then his AWA time is one that certainly should be covered more in depth. Hopefully at a later date, maybe when I watch some more AWA stuff, but what I have seen, Mean Gene added a whole lot to it. And did so much for that company. Excuse me. He did a lot for them, and was interviewing some of the best. And again, the interactions he had with Bobby Heenan. Well, Bobby Heenan really started to find his footing a whole bunch in the AWA, managing Bockwinkel and Stevens, or just Nick Bockwinkel, and having the matches he had with Hulk Hogan. But yeah, you think about Mean Gene's earlier interviews with Hulk Hogan, which segues us into when Mean Gene went to WWF, along with Hogan and so many others, Bobby Heenan included. There were, like you think about some various people, like, Hulk Hogan. Well, something, Mean Gene. I can't really do a very good Hogan impression, but really that was something where if you think of Mean Gene, you think that's one of the first lines you think of is by Hogan. The special reports, the pay-per-view reports he would do later in his career for, like, the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania 9, King of the Ring, SummerSlam. I think he was gone by the time Survivor Series 93 came up, because I know that he went to WCW. But all the great stuff that he did, the training videos that he did with Hulk Hogan when he was trained to be in this tag match, teaming up with Hulk Hogan, those are really funny, because Mean Gene was not an athlete. I mean, he was just a regular guy, but such a great, bolstered personality, wrestling personality, that he was doing all these training things and trying to train with Hogan, and wasn't really working because Mean Gene, only because he's a regular guy. Hogan was, like, in shape and all that, and this big personality and this big, athlete. And Mean Gene was a regular guy doing this stuff, but the training vignettes were really, really funny. And all his stuff where he interviewed Macho Man Randy Savage when Randy Savage was like, a baby face. And then when he turned into a dastardly heel, he turned into a baby face. The Mega Powers exploding, Mean Gene being a part of so many damn interviews in general, not just with the Mega Powers, but with anybody. He added so much to every single show that he was part of. And then one thing that he did, I remember that was particularly funny. I think it was SummerSlam 89 or 90. I think it was 90. But he was interviewing Rick Rude, and they were pre-taped interviews and this kind of stuff, and the SummerSlam sign or whatever fell down, and Mean Gene's just like, fuck it. And that was just really, really fun. Like, it just showed like how Mean Gene, he could have some humor by just like snapping about something. And for some reason they kept that in the live broadcast. They put that in the live broadcast. Great job by Vince there. But so many great things from, the first WrestleMania onwards to like WrestleMania 9 when he was dressed in the goddamn toga, or whatever interviews he did backstage. When you heard Mean Gene's voice, you knew you were in for something special, even if it was just a 30-second or 1-minute pre-tape. He would add some credibility to the feud, summarize it all really, really quickly, and then the various wrestlers, whoever they were, would say, I'm going to do this, and all that, and I'm going to beat this guy up, and I'm going to do this. The amount of levity and realism that Mean Gene added to the product really was unmatched by just about every single other backstage interview. So many backstage interviewers now aspire to be like Mean Gene. I'm not saying be a carbon copy, but no one can be Mean Gene. Mean Gene is who he was. He was a great, great interviewer and a great personality. And it's sad to say was, because everybody's time is eventually up and everybody does eventually pass away. It's just really sad knowing people that you grew up on could pass away, and like when they almost seem immortal. And even in later interviews, when you could tell Mean Gene's health was failing him, which was really sad to see, he still had some really, really good tidbits and stuff to say, like in the Monday Night Wars documentaries, the 20-part series that they did. He had some great stuff to say with that. And going back to his WCW run, after he left WWE and went to WCW, the whole 900 number, 1-900-909-9900, $1.49 a minute. Kids, get your parents' permission before calling. He would have the Mean Gene hotline. He would have the WCW hotline. He would still do all the interviews. Ric Flair, in particular, probably was the best one that he interviewed, only because he would be mean, woo, by God, Gene. Ric Flair and Mean Gene you could tell they had so much fun. Watch a recent episode of Nitro at the very end of December of '98, where it was the one where Ric Flair was trying to get Bischoff to fight him in a match, and Rick's just stripping down to his freaking boxers. Mean Gene's like, wondering what the hell he's doing. Ric Flair's ripping up money, but just Mean Gene selling that whole thing, like Ric Flair going absolutely nuts, was really fucking hilarious. But one of my favorite moments from Mean Gene, from Mean Gene's career, and I mean, yeah, all his interactions with Bobby Heenan in AWA and WWE, but WCW is when Bobby Heenan made his WCW debut. Mean Gene's like, Heenan, why can't you just leave me alone? You follow me everywhere. I don't know why that's so funny, but, it was Mean Gene working, and Mean Gene working Bobby, and Bobby working Mean Gene. But the interactions they had in AWA, and then WWE, and then WCW, that rivalry feud and everything lasted 30-plus years, and you could tell they were really good friends, though. And I'm sure they still were to the very end of their lives. Bobby Heenan, sadly, was taken away from us recently as well. And now you can just imagine just the amount of parties and stories that they're sharing up high above in a big old wrestling venue in the sky. But with Mean Gene, one thing I think that really sticks out with him is he just was as big of a part of Hogan turning heel as anybody else. And think about it. I mean, you had Hall and Nash, and the whole match with Sting, and it was Hall and Nash versus Luger, Sting, and Savage, and Luger gets taken out, and then they beat him up, and then Hogan comes down, and he's the third man and reveals himself. People are throwing trash in the ring. Mean Gene sells it perfectly. Now Hogan was selling it, so was Nash, so was Hall. They were selling it really well. Mean Gene though, Hulk Hogan, excuse me, and I get goosebumps just thinking about it. What the hell do you think you're doing? Mean Gene, the first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I got to say. And right there, and Mean Gene's doing some, does some pieces or whatever. It says, I've known you for a long time, and to see you join up with the likes of these two makes me absolutely sick to my stomach. First thing you gotta do is realize this is the future of wrestling. You can call this a new world order of wrestling, brother. And he's talking about the various wrestling moments and everything, and he talked about working in a great wrestling organization up north. I've been there. It's like, you want to join up with the likes of these two? You got to be kidding me. And then to cap off the whole damn thing, that Hogan grabs Okerlund and says, you don't want to touch me, I got a fleet of lawyers. And that was just, Mean Gene was just as big of a part of Hogan's heel turn, the whole NWO formation, as anybody else. And I think a lot of people may forget that. And then later in his WCW run, he became more of a party guy, more of a dirty old man, and he seemed to enjoy that. And it was a whole lot of fun. It was funny to see Mean Gene, just a silly white guy dancing around like he did. And then, of course, Bobby Heenan and him reformed as a team for the Gimmick Battle Royal. Then he did WWE Confidential. If you see it and hear it here, it's Confidential. And until they watered that show down, I liked the show Confidential. It was really goddamn good. He got inducted in the Hall of Fame as the year 2005 or 2006. It was one of the two. Forgive me if I can't remember those years. He got immortalized in WWE Hall of Fame and should have been immortalized in just about any Hall of Fame that he could have been considered for. Observer Hall of Fame, anything, the Wrestling Hall of Fame, wherever. Because that's just how much he meant to wrestling. So yeah, it's hard to encapsulate all of Mean Gene's moments, but Mean Gene, hell of a personality. Okay, I'm gonna stop this. Hell of a personality, hell of a backstage interviewer, one of the true all-time greats. He was pro wrestling. As far as interviews, he could help promote pro wrestling by just his voice and the way he added realism to it and everything, and adding his humor. He could do so much with it. So, honestly, leave your thoughts in the comments. Please let me know what your favorite Mean Gene moments are. And yeah, even into like later years, he did Legends House and stuff like that, and actually got to add some good personality there. But yeah, rest in peace, Mean Gene. He will be sorely missed. He will absolutely be sorely missed. But anyway, leave your thoughts in the comments, folks. Mean Gene, rest in peace.